So the next chapter that we are going to start is the nuclear models. So there are basically two types of nuclear models that are in your syllabus. So first is the liquid drop model and second one is the shell model. Now in the last chapter we have done the various properties of the nucleus. So the properties, for example, like the spin of the nucleus, the angular momentum of the nucleus, parity of the nucleus, magnetic moment of the nucleus. So we have discussed all the properties of the nucleus. But now the question is, from where do these properties come from? So there were various models that were proposed. So what is the theory behind those properties? So there were various models that were proposed. So first is the liquid drop model. So the basic idea of the liquid drop model is that a nucleus is considered to be similar to that of a liquid drop of a very high density. So the liquid drop model, it gave a simple explanation of binding energy curve. So we will look in the upcoming lectures how this liquid drop model, it gave us the simple explanation of binding energy curve. So there we will be using various binding energy terms like the volume binding energy, surface binding energy and so on. So the liquid drop model, it gave us the simple explanation of the binding energy curve. So this liquid drop model, it was first proposed by George Gamow and it was then further developed by Neil Bohr and John Wheeler. So it treats the nucleus as a drop of incompressible liquid. So the nucleus is considered to be as a drop of incompressible liquid of a very high density, and the density of such drop is considered to be 10 power 17 kilograms per meter cube. So in the last chapter we had calculated the density of the nucleus and it came out to be approximately equal to this number. So the nucleus in this liquid drop model, it is considered to be supposed to be similar to a drop of liquid of a very high density, and the density is considered to be the same, 10 power 17 kilograms per meter cube. So this nucleus, it is held together by the nuclear forces, just like the molecules in a liquid drop, they are held together by the intermolecular forces. So this is the similarity. In case of nucleus, the nucleons, they are held together by the nuclear force, which is the attractive force. So in a similar manner, in case of a liquid drop, the molecules, they are bound together due to the intermolecular forces. So what is the analogy between a liquid drop and a nucleus? Analogy means what is the similarity between a liquid drop and a nucleus. So first point is that in a stable state, the nuclei of the atoms or the nucleus, it remains spherically symmetric under the action of strong attractive nuclear force. So in case of a equilibrium state, when the nucleus is in equilibrium state, so it is spherically symmetric, and this is due to the action of the strong attractive nuclear force. Just like in case of a drop of liquid which is spherical. Now the drop of liquid is also spherical, and this drop, it is spherical due to the surface tension. So in case of nucleus, we have attractive nuclear force. In case of a liquid drop, we have surface tension. So this is the similarity between the two. So the second point is that the nucleon of the nucleus, it moves about within a nuclear potential barrier. So this nucleon, it moves inside the nucleus in the effect of a nuclear potential barrier, or it experiences a nuclear potential barrier, just like the movement of the molecules of a liquid which move in the drop of a liquid. So this is the similarity, that the nucleon, it moves inside the nucleus due to the experience of a nuclear potential, and this potential, it does not let the nucleon to get separated from the nucleus. Just like in case of the liquid is held together by the surface tension, and the molecule inside the liquid, it is held together by surface tension force, and hence it is not able to move out of the liquid. Third point is that the density of the liquid drop, it is independent of its size. So as you increase the size of the liquid drop, the density will remain the same, that is mass over volume, it will remain the same. Just like the density of the nucleus, which is also independent of its size, and we have calculated the density of nucleus and it came out to be approximately 10 power 17 kgs per meter cube. So the density of the nucleus, it is also independent. So independent of its size, or you can say it is independent of mass number. Now the fourth point is that the molecules, they evaporate from a liquid. In case of a liquid drop, the molecules, they evaporate from the surface of the liquid drop on raising the temperature of the liquid due to the increased energy. So when the temperature of the liquid is increased, the molecules, they absorb that energy and they are evaporated from the surface of the liquid drop. Similarly, when the energy is given to the nucleus by bombarding a nuclear projectile, that is a proton or alpha particle, it is made to strike a nucleus, the energy is imparted to the nucleus and a compound nucleus is formed. So this we will discuss in the last chapter of nuclear reaction. So a compound nucleus is formed which will emit nuclear radiation after some time. So this is the analogy that molecules are evaporated from the liquid when the temperature is increased, or you can say when energy is given to the liquid. Similarly, in case of nucleus, when energy is given to the nucleus, a compound nucleus is formed which will then emit the nuclear radiation so as to decrease its energy, and this is called as nuclear reaction. Then another theory is of the alpha and beta decay, or you can say the radioactive decay. How this liquid drop model, it explains the radioactive decay, that is alpha or the beta particles, they are emitted from the nucleus. So the theory behind this radioactive decay is given by the liquid drop model in a manner that it says that because of the random collision of the nucleons inside the nucleus, they are colliding with each other, and a group of nuclear particles inside the nucleus, they may pick up enough energy, and they will pick up enough energy due to the random collision. So the nucleons inside the nucleus, they are randomly colliding with each other. So after a particular time, nuclear particles, they may pick up enough energy which may result in the escape of the nucleons from the nucleus. So this is the theory behind the radioactive decay which is given by liquid drop model. The last analogy between the liquid drop and the nucleus is that the binding energy per nucleon of a nucleus, it is constant. Binding energy per nucleon of a particular nucleus is always a constant. As we have seen in case of iron 56, the binding energy per nucleon is approximately 8.8 megaelectron volt. So that remains constant. So similarly, like that of latent heat of vaporization, which is constant for a particular liquid. So this is the last analogy between a liquid drop and a nucleus. Now the main success of this liquid drop model was that it was able to explain nuclear fission and the binding energy. So how this liquid drop model was able to explain the binding energy curve, so that we will discuss in the upcoming lectures. So first of all, we are going to discuss how this liquid drop model, it explains the nuclear fission. Now the liquid drop, it oscillates when energy is imparted to this liquid drop. So that energy, it is not enough to break this liquid drop into two parts. So the energy is imparted to this liquid drop such that the liquid drop, it oscillates. Firstly, the liquid drop is spherical in shape, and when the energy is imparted, so let's say the shape of the liquid drop, it changes into this egg shape. So the shape of the liquid drop, it changes to this particular shape. So There are two types of forces that will act in the case of a liquid drop. First is the surface tension, which is the attractive force, and this surface tension, it tends to bring back the liquid drop into its spherical shape. Since the surface tension, it is an attractive force, so this surface tension, it tends to bring the shape of the liquid drop into a spherical shape, whereas this inertia of motion of the liquid molecules, it will try to distort the shape of the liquid drop. So the inertia of the motion of the liquid molecules, it will try to distort the shape of the liquid drop. So this will try to maintain the spherical shape of the liquid drop, and this force, it will try to distort the shape of, or you can say distort the spherical shape of the liquid drop. So when the liquid drop is oscillating, so let's say it changes its shape to this particular egg shape. So in this particular shape, the surface tension, it will try to bring back the liquid drop into its spherical shape. So the force, it will act inwards. So the surface tension, it will try to bring back this drop into a spherical shape. So due to the surface tension, this drop, it will change its position to this particular third figure. So the shape of this particular drop, it will change to a spherical shape. But now, since the molecules inside the nucleus, they are moving inwards, the molecules of the liquid drop, they are moving in the inward direction. So due to the inertia of motion, the molecules, they will go in the vertical direction. The molecules, they will go in the vertical direction. This is due to the inertia of motion, because the molecules in the liquid drop, they are moving inwards in the center of the liquid drop, but they are not able to make their velocity equal to 0 because they have inertia of motion. Since they are moving inwards, and so the spherical shape of the liquid drop, it will change to this particular fourth shape of the liquid drop. So in this particular shape, due to inertia of motion, this is obtained due to the inertia of motion, and the molecules, they will go in the vertical direction and they will distort the spherical shape. Now again, the surface tension force, it will come into play, and the surface tension, it tries to bring back the liquid drop into the spherical shape. So the surface tension will act, and this will again make the shape of the liquid drop equal to a spherical shape. So again that process will repeat, that is again inertia of motion will act over here, and the shape of the liquid drop will change to this particular shape. Then again surface tension will act, and surface tension will bring back the shape of the liquid drop to a spherical shape. So this is how the liquid drop oscillations, they take place. So keep in mind that the energy is not enough to break this liquid drop. So this liquid drop is just oscillating between prolate, oblate and the spherical shape, but the liquid drop is not able to break into two liquid drops. Now this was the case of a liquid drop. In a similar way, the nucleus it oscillates when energy is provided. So nucleus is also, it is similar to a liquid drop. So nucleus will also oscillate when energy is provided to the nucleus. So what is the force instead of surface tension? So surface tension is the attractive force which acts in case of a liquid drop, whereas in case of a nucleus, the nuclear force, it will play the role of a surface tension, because nuclear force is an attractive force. So nuclear force, it will tend to bring back the shape of the nucleus to a spherical shape. Then in place of inertia of motion of the liquid molecules, which is responsible for distorting the shape of the nucleus, so this, instead of this particular force, in case of nucleus, we will have inertia of nucleons. So nucleons, since they are moving, so they will have inertia of, nucleons, and we will have repulsive electrostatic forces which act between the protons. So now we will have two forces that will we will have two forces that will try to distort the shape of the nucleus. So first is the inertia of nucleons. In case of liquid drop, we had inertia of motion of the liquid molecules. Now we have inertia of motion of nucleons. And in addition to this inertia of motion of nucleons, we will have a repulsive electrostatic force which acts between the protons. So these two forces, they will try to distort the shape of the nucleus. So for small distortions means when the energy that is imparted to the nucleus is very small, so the nucleus, it will be distorted by a very less amount. So for small distortions, nuclear force is sufficient to counter, that is, the nuclear force is sufficient to bring back the nucleus into the spherical shape. So in which case the nucleus, it gives up its excitation energy, the energy that was given to the nucleus in the initial stage. So when the distortions, they are very small, the nuclear force, it brings back the nucleus to the spherical shape, and the extra energy that was imparted to the nucleus, it is given out by this nucleus in the form of to and fro oscillations. So the nucleus, it will undergo to and fro oscillations, and the energy, it is given out of the nucleus in the form of gamma rays. So this is how the gamma ray emission is explained by the liquid drop model. On the other hand, so firstly, this was for the case when the energy imparted to the nucleus, it is not enough to break the nucleus. So we have only small distortions. So in that case, the nucleus will just oscillate to and fro, and the extra energy will be given out of the nucleus in the form of gamma rays. Now on the other hand, when the degree of distortion is very large, so when the degree of distortion or the energy which is provided, external energy which is provided to the nucleus, it is very large, so it causes the nuclear particles to separate themselves. So the nucleus, this is the nucleus, and some energy is imparted to this particular nucleus such that this energy is very large enough. It is very large enough to break the nucleus. So this nucleus, it will absorb this energy and it will change to this particular shape. So let's say its shape, it gets distorted. Now the energy that was imparted or the distortion, this is so large that this shape, it will not go back to the spherical shape. Like in the first case, the spherical shape, it changed to the egg shape, or you can say the oblate shape, and then this oblate shape, it again changed to spherical, then spherical again changed to prolate shape, then prolate again changed to spherical. But in this particular case, when the nucleus, it gets distorted, then it will never get back to its spherical shape when the distortions are very large. So after this particular stage of the nucleus, it will start to get separated into two components. So this particular point over here, that is a dumbbell shape of the nucleus is obtained, and this particular region, this is called as the neck region. And after some time, the nucleus, it will get separated into two smaller nuclei. So this is how the nuclear fission, it is explained by liquid drop model. Now as we have done in the starting of this lecture, that the liquid drop model, it gives us the simple explanation of the binding energy of the nucleus. So considering the similarity of liquid drop and the nucleus, von Weizsäcker, scientist, he obtained a formula which is known as the semi-empirical mass formula. So this is a very important derivation that we will do in further lectures. So this scientist, he obtained a particular formula which is called as semi-empirical mass formula, and this formula is for expressing the atomic mass of a nuclide in terms of a series of binding energy terms. So we will be studying the various binding energy terms. So first, binding energy. Now the binding energy, it comes from the volume, it comes from the surface of the nucleus, it comes from the the contribution is from the Coulomb energy, then asymmetry energy and the pairing energy, and we will study these binding energy terms one by one. So this scientist, he obtained semi-empirical mass formula for expressing the atomic mass of the nuclei. So the atomic mass of a nuclei, or the mass of the nucleus, it was found in terms of a series of binding energy terms. So the binding energy is equal to mass defect times E square, binding energy of the whole nucleus. So this is equal to delta M times E square. So delta M is given by this expression, that is difference of the masses of the constituents of the nucleus and the mass of the nucleus itself times C square. So from here you can calculate the mass of the nucleus. So mass of the nucleus, it can be taken on the left hand side. So you will get this particular term on the right hand side. So on the right hand side we will have minus BB is the binding energy of the nucleus divided by C square. Now this binding energy of the nucleus, the energy which is released during the formation of the whole nucleus, this binding energy is contributed by various terms. First is the volume binding energy, which is given by B. V represents volume. Then this binding energy of the whole nucleus is also contributed by the surface energy, which is represented by Bs. Then it is also contributed by the Coulomb energy, which is represented by Bc in the subscript. Then there is asymmetry energy, which is represented by Ba, and last we have pairing energy. So that is represented by Bp. So this binding energy of the whole nucleus, it was expressed in terms of the various binding energy terms. So here we have written that the atomic mass of the nuclei. Now the atomic mass, this mass of the nuclei, we can say simply the mass of the nucleus, it can be represented in terms of the various components of the binding energy. So this is the total binding energy, and instead of capital B we can write BV plus BS plus BC plus BA plus BP. So we can substitute this whole expression in this particular term. So we will get the mass of the nucleus in terms of the series of binding energy terms. So in the next lecture we will look at the various binding energy terms.